So I just toasted some almonds. These are slivered almonds, and I'm all about saving pans in the kitchen. So when you toast almonds for a cake, do it in the cake pan that you're going to use instead of having to put another pan on the stove top. So you just put them in the oven, preheat your oven to whatever degree you're going to be cooking that cake at, and toast your nuts. And you'll know the nuts are just right when they have just a nice golden color and they smell fragrant. So I'm going to put these in a bowl now and show you how we put this cake together. We want to start with some really good chocolate. And I mean chocolate that has a high cocoa butter content. So when you go to the store, don't buy that cheap stuff. And you'll know good chocolate by looking at it, number one. It has a really nice shine. And then it should have a good snap to it. Then you'll know you're getting good chocolate. So we need for this recipe about 9 ounces of a bittersweet chocolate. And over some water in a bowl, I've melted about 7 ounces of just butter, unsalted butter, 7 tablespoons of unsalted butter. And I'm going to add the chocolate now to the butter. The important thing about chocolate when you're melting it is that you do not ever want to get water into it. Otherwise, the chocolate will start to seize. It will just clump up and be very grainy, and then you'll have to start all over again. So I have a bowl sitting over just simmering water, and now I'm going to shut that off because the heat from the water in the pan will melt the chocolate, and we'll come back to this later. All right, so how does this cake go together? Well, you want to start out in a bowl with some eggs. And we're not using any flour. The nuts are going to be what holds this cake together. So we need 4 eggs that are separated. So here are 4 egg yolks. So now what we want to do is take our 4 egg yolks, and our egg whites are sitting in a mixer, and we want to add some sugar. So you want a cup of sugar to go in with this. And now we want to just mix this up. You want to make sure that you get the sugar and the egg yolks really well blended. And you'll know they're right when they start to look fluffy and very light colored. So once your eggs have changed color, you notice how nice and light this is, nice and fluffy. You can turn that off. And now we want to give this a little bit of salt, just a pinch of salt, and about 1/4 cup of coffee. You could use instant coffee, espresso, and no, this is not the secret ingredient. And about, a tablespoon or so of vanilla. And this is just homemade vanilla that I made, but you can use a regular store-bought vanilla. So a little vanilla goes in. And now you want to mix that around. Get that well blended. So you see what's happening here. Our chocolate is melting nicely into the butter, and we want that really nice and smooth. So you've got to be patient and let all of those chunks really dissolve. So now while that's going on, let's go ahead and get our nuts all pulverized up. So you want to do that in a food processor or a little gadget like this. And I just want to grind those up. Them up to a powder. Okay, that looks good. This is what's going to take the place of flour. So now we put this in here, in our batter, and we want to mix that around. So there is our chocolate sauce, and I'm going to turn that off. And now we want to put this into our mixture here. So make sure that it's all really well blended. And oh, that's right, I know what the secret is. The secret is aceto balsamico tradizionale, traditional balsamic vinegar, because of course Modena is very famous for making this. So we want to put just a drop. Now remember, I told you the secret. And only you and I know that it is aceto balsamico tradizionale from Modena that goes into this cake. Okay, so now this goes into our batter. Doesn't that look beautiful? Good enough to lick the pan. And now we want to get this smooth. So you want to make sure that all that chocolate and those nuts are well blended. Okay, come with me, because over here we have the 4 egg whites that we separated. And now we want to start on medium speed and get those foamy. Start to get them a little bit foamy. And when they're foamy, then you can increase the speed to high and let them go until they're at soft peaks. Meanwhile, you've got to get your pan ready. So here we have a 9-inch spring form. You want to spray it. I love these flour and butter sprays. And in the base, I'm going to put a sheet of parchment paper and spray that, because you want to make sure that this cake is going to come out. Back to the egg whites. Okay. All right, there you see we have really nice looking whites. So I'll shake that off. Take our pan over. And now you take these, you see how beautiful and light those are. A few at a time. And you do that classic fold. So you see how nicely this is looking. And you know, you don't have to have all these streaks of white disappear into the batter, but you want to have most of that. And our oven is on at 350 degrees, because this cake is going to create a meringue-like texture on the top, rather crackly. So in the pan it goes. And it's not going to rise very high, as I told you. And when you get it in the pan, the last thing you want to do is tap the pan on the counter to get any air out of the pan and to make it even and smooth. So there is our torta barozzi. And it's going to go into the oven. Make sure your oven is preheated, as I told you. You want to leave it there for about 25 to 30 minutes. Then you're going to have to go back and check it with a cake skewer. So I'm going to lift the cake up, get it off of this cooling rack, and put it right there onto our cake stand. And now we have to take off that paper. Remember that parchment paper? That helps us get it out of the pan. When you take it out of the pan, you really want to flip this cake over, because it's got a meringue top, but it cracks, so you want to flip it over so that the meringue is on the bottom. And now we need the letter B. B for barozzi. And now this cake only needs some confectioner's sugar because it is just so rich. So you just do a nice hailstorm right around the cake, just like that. Get it on the counter too. Wonderful. And then just carefully lift off the B.